Hey, YouTube Rando here. So today I wanted to show a pouch that I put together. I'm going to call it a prepper pouch, just for the fun of it. Now this would be considered, for most people, it would be considered something that they would use to barter with in a grid down situation. Long term, SHTF happened. They buy this and put it back so they can have something to trade for. Now that being said, I'm going to say this. Grid down situation, grid ain't coming back. If you tried to trade me an ounce of gold for a 100-pound bag of flour, I would tell you, go down the road with it. I wouldn't trade my food and my water and my preps for any amount of gold you have, honestly. Unless you have a couple 1-pound bars, then we might talk. But as far as prepping with it, I don't usually do it. I do this just for emergencies, and it's always easy to say I'm going to put a $20 bill somewhere and I'm not going to touch that $20 bill. But when you know that $20 bill is there and you don't feel like running to the ATM, you'll use it. Or I do anyway. My emergency money gets used up for non-emergency reasons all the time, is all I'm saying. When it's in silver form, I know, I'm not going to go through the hassle of going to a pawn shop and pawning something or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to get rid of my silver as quick as I will some, paper money. Also, I started buying silver in 2001 when silver was right around $4 an ounce, a little more. Actually, I started buying in 2000 when it was a little less than $4 an ounce. And then between 2001 2005, I purchased right around, because back then it was so cheap, you could buy 10 rounds at one time and have 10 ounces. I purchased about 100 ounces of silver between 2001 and 2005. In 2005 it hit about $7.50 an ounce, and that's what I paid for the majority of my large collection of silver, which I sold, by the way. I still have quite a bit in my safe put back that I did keep, and most of them are Morgan silver dollars and stuff like that. But anyways, 2007, 2006, it hit between $11 to $13 an ounce. I was still buying it all the way up until 2010. In 2010, something unheard of happened, and it hit right around $20 an ounce. I want to say it was like 20, 25 or something like that. Some insane number. And that's when I stopped buying silver. I still did buy a few rounds here and there when it was down to $20 an ounce, but I sold my entire collection, for the majority of it anyway. I kept a lot of the Morgan silver dollars, like I said, and I'm back to buying silver rounds and stuff now that I have in the safe. But it hit about $35 an ounce, and that's when I sold everything. I said, damn, most of it, the majority of my collection I paid less than $8 an ounce for, so I was making 3 or 4 times the money. And on some of it, closer to about 8 times the money than what I had invested in it originally back in 2001, 2002, earlier in the 2000s. Silver now is back down to under $20 an ounce. It's right around $19 an ounce. And I'm buying it again, and hopefully it don't go any lower. And if it does, I'll snatch quite a bit of it up at one time. It'll never be as low as it was in 2001, let's face it. So that whole deal I got out of that was a great deal. I ended up with a buttload of cash for it and bought a bunch of guns and other stuff that I probably shouldn't have done. But like I said, it's about $20 an ounce now, so I started buying more recently. Buying a few rounds here and there, a few bars here and there. And I do keep some of it in an emergency kit. It's my EDC kit. That I'm going to do a video on that here soon, because it has changed quite a bit. I find myself using it less and less, so it's kind of just a packed kit that stays packed. It doesn't really get messed with too much, but it's there if I need it. It's in my truck. It's on the job site. It's there when I need it. And believe it or not, I have used silver before in an emergency situation. It wasn't, a dire need. It wasn't a dire emergency, but I was in town. Our house was at the time outside of town, and it was about, I don't know, maybe 30 miles away or something, and I had 1/8 of a tank of gas. So I reached in my wallet to pull out my emergency cash, and it was empty. I didn't have no money on me. ATM cards with the wife at home. I didn't want to call her and have her come all the way into town to bring me cash to get gas to get home so I could get back the next day. And I didn't have enough gas to make it home and then make it back to town to get gas. So I walked into the pawn shop. At the time, I want to say silver was an insane price. It was like 40 something an ounce, and I pawned 1 ounce of silver for $20. Used that $20 to get enough gas to make it home. Got the ATM card next day, went back, got the silver back, filled up my truck, and haven't worried about it since. And that's happened to me once, and if it ever happens to me again, I have this silver as a backup to use for gas or whatever. And I don't keep much in here, by the way, because if my bag gets stolen, I'm already going to be out about $300 on a gun. I do keep my bag hidden, and I have a lock on the bag itself that they would have to get through to get the gun. I keep all my stuff locked up in my truck, and really nobody knows it's there but me, so doubtfully they're going to be going into my truck and getting my EDC bag out. So just to show you a few different things that you may want to carry, I buy silver off Craigslist sometimes, and I always check it when I buy it. I don't have a silver kit, but if you were to weigh this 1 ounce copper round here, you would see that a 1 ounce copper round or silver round is going to be either a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. You can check them by size and you can check them by weight. So I carry a cheap scale, and I know if it hits over, if it's about 33 grams, somewhere in there, I know it's 1 troy ounce of silver. I can kind of be sure that it's a genuine bar. I do have a small file that I can follow on it a little bit if need be, just to see what's inside of it. But if you're going to be working with silver and buying silver, I would expect you'd want a digital one, but this one would be something more like off-grid that you could weigh your silver with. And there's other reasons for that too. You may want to break one in half and get, turn this into 2 half-ounce bars in a SHTF situation. Now, I don't, like I said before, I'm not prepping for SHTF with silver. I'm prepping with food. I think that's more viable. Ammo's more viable in that situation. Tobacco, certain things that people just aren't going to want to give up or cannot give up. Like protecting your family, you're going to need bullets. So if you have extra bullets you could barter with, I think that's much better than silver. But this is in my emergency kit nonetheless, and I said why, because, sometimes I'm broke. Now, people do buy copper as a precious metal. I do not. I buy it just to kind of teach my kids about weight, about silver, and about gold and different things. And I don't prep with gold either, just because gold's too expensive. I had a 1 ounce Susie pant bar. We paid like $800 for it, and I sold it for $1,200 when gold was up to about $1,200 an ounce. And it got a lot higher than that now. It's a lot lower, whatever. I think the highest gold ever was like 1980, wasn't it? Don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But a lot of people do buy this copper. I don't usually buy it. This is a 2 ounce. It's supposed to be like a mimicked 30-06 round. So this is 2 ounces. This is 1 ounce. You're going to pay about $1 for this and about $2 for this. So if you do the math on that, you're paying $16 a pound for copper. Think about how much copper is. So it's not really viable to buy this for what I'm talking about here, but some people do buy it. To each his own. If you think somebody's going to trade you, a couple eggs for something you paid $1 for now, more power to you. And a lot of people do, and that's great. I think whatever you do for your situation is what you do, and I think that's great. If we could all do it, we would. I just find silver is a little bit more viable. Now this is what I like to prep with. By the way, this is 1 ounce right here, but it is not a troy ounce. This is a silver Morgan silver dollar. I think this one's from 1921. Look at your Morgan silver dollars and make sure it's not some specific one like a Carson City or something like that, because you'd be looking at, in this day and age of Carson Cities, you know, close to a $500 coin depending on the condition. So make sure you check your Morgan silver dollars and make sure it's not something that's extremely valuable before you go selling it off or something like that, you know. And then this is a 1 ounce bar from Sunshine Mint. That's usually who I order from now. Actually, I order from J&M, I believe, is the company, and they just happen to sell from Sunshine Mint. A lot of their silver they get, a lot of the gold they get, whatever's from Sunshine. So this right here is about $20 now, though. So, you know, in 2001 I was paying $4, and for what I could buy, 5 rounds for, now I'm paying for 1. And these are half ounce. So this you're going to pay about $11 for, a little bit more than what it's actually worth in precious metals. Same thing with the bars. You're actually going to pay about $22 to $23 for a bar. I think this was the cheapest way to go, and that's why I ordered quite a bit of these. I don't keep many in here. I only keep 3 ounces worth. I figure if nothing else, it's $5 a piece that I can borrow against them, and then I pay 6 or 7 to get them back or whatever. Because I have had to do that before, like I said. And if I didn't need that much, I would just pawn 2 of them. If I needed 20, I'd pawn 3 of them, or 4 of them rather, and on up. But in, say, an SHTF situation where you are prepping with silver, you could always get a hammer and a hard surface, and you could bend this coin and break it in half and have 2 quarter-ounce pieces of silver to work with instead of, you know, a 1 ounce or half ounce round or 1 ounce bar. So that's what I carry in here. I thought about carrying a little bit of copper, but really it's just weighing my bag down. It's you know, kind of useless to me, so I'm not going to carry it. Maybe, you know, if you really wanted to prep with copper, I would just suggest buying or finding pennies that are pre-1983, I believe. 1982 and before are made out of your highest content of copper. So those are, you know, now they use zinc covered in copper, so it's not the same thing. You're not getting, pennies aren't made out of copper anymore, so go back and look at your pennies before you sell them off. And of course it's illegal right now to melt down pennies. Don't go melt down pennies to make copper bars. It's not smart. You can't go to jail for that. It's against the law to deface American currency, so keep that in mind. And but in the SHTF situation, if you had a whole bucket full of pennies that were, you know, high content of copper, you can melt them down and make copper bars out of them if you wanted to. But again, that's, you know, we have no society, we have no government, nothing left. You know, if there's a government in place, then there's still laws in place, then that's against the law, so I suggest you do not try it. There was actually a guy about 4 counties over that got caught doing that. He was melting down pennies and making copper bars and selling them on eBay, and they caught on to him, and they actually raided his house over it. So just something to keep in mind. I wouldn't screw with pennies unless there was no government left, which I'm in belief that's probably not going to happen in my lifetime. So I don't prep with copper. I just go with silver. You can do gold, like I said, but you're going to pay for a 1 gram bar quite a bit. So you don't have the option of doing like $5 coins or $10 coins, because it's going to be kind of hard to break down a 1 gram bar any smaller than it is in a 1 gram bar. I don't know what gold is now, but I'm going to say, you know, $40 a gram at least. I think I was paying like $35 a gram like 4 or 5 years ago, so I would say it's probably at least 40, and somebody's going to get mad and say, oh, it's this much a gram, but I'm just saying, I'm just making a comment that you're going to pay a lot more for 1 gram of gold than you are 1 ounce of silver. If you were using this like in a bug-out bag, if you were going to put this in a bug-out bag, I would say go with gold, because it's a lot lighter and you could fit a lot more currency in than you can with the silver, so that's up to you. This is just what I use, and I just wanted to show you guys. That's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, YouTube.